Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your chair of the FWA, Carrie Brown, and our guest of honour, Vincent Company. Ladies and gentlemen, honoured guests, thank you very much. And while our top table take their seats, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Savoy tonight for our annual tribute night this year in honour of Vincent Company. We're also delighted to have Vinny's father, Pierre, with us on the top table as well. Plus, on the top table, Vinny's two assistants, Klaas and Rodiza, who've also flown in from Spain today from warm weather training. So, thank you very much. Paying tribute to the incredible work Vinny has done for his adopted city as a community is the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. Andy will be paying tribute on behalf of himself and all the people in Manchester that Vinny's immense charity efforts have helped. I'd also like to thank our title sponsors, William Hill, who are represented on the top table by Simon Cleaver and Kieran O'Brien. Their unwavering support allows us to put on nights like this. Also, to Gary Hughes and his team from Sky Sports for the magnificent video that you'll be seeing later. Thanks, guys. Tonight's event is also in the memory of Steve Curry, who sadly passed away last August. As a former chairman and life member, Steve was instrumental in helping to set up the tribute night, and I know he was incredibly proud that it plays such a huge part in the FWA's calendar. We're honoured to have Steve's wife Carol and his son Mike as our guests at the Savoy tonight. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would you bow your heads for grace? For what we are about to receive, may the Lord make us grateful and mindful for the needs of others. Thank you. Amen. And I am delighted to invite to the stage the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody. 4 days after scoring that goal and 2 days before lifting the Premier League title at Brighton, Vincent Company spent a couple of hours at a homeless shelter in Ardwick, just a mile or two from the Etihad Stadium. For anyone who had the privilege to be there that day, it's something that we will never, ever forget. And I'd spent all week waiting for a call from Vincent's people to say they were going to have to refix. And to be honest, I wouldn't have minded at all. I actually expected that we might need it to refix. But no, the call never came. The visit was on. And instead, when we got to that Friday afternoon, at the shelter, supporting people in need, we found a very relaxed Vincent, completely on a level with everybody there, listening, talking, engaging with everything that they did, walking round, He even laughed out loud when he was presented with a T-shirt that had a picture of his goal on the front, with the crowd shouting, "Don't shoot Vinny," as we heard from Caldoon before. The bit that sticks in my mind from that day is being in the humble living quarters, the bedroom area of the shelter, and myself and Vincent standing next to a rack of bunk beds as we spoke to a group of residents. They were telling him proudly about the five-a-side team that they'd launched. And you know, I stood there and watched him speaking to them on a level as if they could have been players in the dressing room just down the road, his teammates just down the road. That is the measure of this man. And for me, that's the memory that stays with me from a year where Vincent and I spent a lot of time together. A year when I employed a lot of energy, sensing that he may be about to make a move, trying to persuade him to sign for Everton. But the fact that he refused to listen to me says a lot about his judgment and decision-making faculties. And it also explains, probably, why I lost to Jeremy Corbyn, because my powers of persuasion are clearly non-existent. But he did so much, and I learned so much about Vincent during that year. Not just that he was a great decision maker, a fantastic leader. Also, though, that he doesn't do anything, as far as I can see, by halves. If he's doing it, and he's doing it properly. No gimmicks, no kind of just get a few headlines. If he was in properly. And he would ring me and ask me for a full description of what we were doing, what we were proposing to do, what the policies we had to tackle homelessness in Greater Manchester. And it was also a full company family affair. I'll never forget going out in Manchester city centre early one morning with Carla, Vincent's wife, because Carla wanted to fully inform herself about the situation and what needed to be done. And I heard so much from Vincent about his father, Pierre, who's with us this evening. Obviously somebody in his own life who knew the importance of kind of putting a hand down to those who need your help. And obviously those values are very much evident in everything that Vincent does. But I suppose if I were to summarize what most came over to me from the time that I spent with Vincent Company, was that this is an individual that if you are around him, somebody who inspires confidence, belief, ambition in other people who are working with him. And that's what he certainly did for me. I received the approach from Vincent's team at a time when I was really struggling to get a kind of a policy together, really, to tackle the scale of the homelessness crisis that we have in Manchester. And I was thinking of launching a scheme called A Bed Every Night. The voluntary sector in the city had said to me, can we open shelters, enough places every single night of the week so that we can really look after people and help them move forward? And I wasn't sure I could do it because I didn't know whether I could get the money together to do it. But when we got the approach and when we understood how serious Vincent was about it, it made me think, you know what, we can do it. We can launch A Bed Every Night. We should do it. With backing like this, why can't we do it? And it made me go forward and say, we're going to go over that line and we're going to commit to providing a bed for every rough sleeper in Greater Manchester every single night of the week. And we did launch it in November 2018, and it wouldn't have happened were it not for the intervention of the great Vincent Company. And it's been running ever since. It's been running ever since. Tonight, across the 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester, there will be around 470 people in a bed every night. 470 people who are not on the streets, who are getting the support that they need, and who are beginning to move forward in life. And when we first met, that's what Vincent said to me. I know I've taken much from this city in terms of the support that it's given to me when I first came here. So I want to give back. And I know this is a city that doesn't just walk on by on the other side, that does look out for our fellow citizen and does give back. And that's why I want to commit myself through Tackle for Manchester to what you are trying to do to tackle homelessness. And it is because of that commitment that he made, that we've been able to make a difference. And on the recent count that was done at the end of last year, a government count, Greater Manchester recorded a 37% fall in the number of people sleeping rough on our streets. And that would not have happened were it not for Vincent's intervention. So I just want to say, Paul, to you and to the Football Writers Association, thank you so much for putting on this evening, for honouring one of the true greats of our game. An individual of a stature that I don't think we will see the likes of again. In his testimonial year, dedicating it to those with least in our city region, and in doing that, leading by example, setting a wonderful example to the young people of our city. But in that year, not only leading his side to a Premier League title, as hard fought as they come, but also making a significant impression on one of the most difficult social issues that we face in our country at the moment. How many other people could you say that about? So this evening, here's to you, Vincent Company. Greater Manchester loves you more than you will know. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Andy. And I think that is a true measure of the man that we have here tonight, who we are honouring, not just for his football prowess, but for everything that he's given back to Manchester as a community. Thank you. I'd like to welcome now the chair of the Football Writers Association, Carrie Brown.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and microphones. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight in salubrious surroundings and just take this moment to thank all the hard work behind the scenes that made this special occasion come together, when you were scrabbling for ties or irons on this occasion, or suits lost in the heady world of the Savoy, who are currently filming scenes from The Crown. So we put it to the fact that the Queen had taken over the dry cleaning service on the night. Everyone has been working behind the scenes so very hard. I'd like to thank particularly Laura Ross and her team at the Savoy for putting together this fantastic occasion and servicing her all our needs. Every time I walk into this room, I'm always taken aback and astounded. And Laura and your team, thank you for making tonight happen. I would sincerely like to thank our sponsors, William Hill. Without them, we would not be here tonight, not just tonight to honour Vincent Company, but also for the many events that we've held up and down the breadth of the country. They care passionately about the game and passionately about the sport, and we thank you for your support sincerely. I would also like to thank the FWA Executive Committee, who worked tirelessly in their own spare time while juggling deadlines to keep the FWA and the spirit of the FWA running and protecting our writers. I'd particularly like to thank our Executive Secretary, Paul McCarthy. This is very much his baby, of which he should be very proud. While you're all coming from matches to get here, he was tracking the skies as the flights came into land, and now we have the suit in place and the night is running smoothly. Thank you so much for all that you do. I want to take you back to that moment where Manchester City started talking about being the noisy neighbours. And could we ever imagine then that there would be a time where Vincent Company would leave the club as the most decorated captain in the club's history during its most illustrious time, and for him to be recognised by those main protagonists in the dressing rooms of Anfield and Old Trafford? He certainly made those Reds blue. Vincent Company, a leader that rose to the big occasion when needed the most, whether it was that header in the Manchester derby in 2012 that went on to end 44 years without a major trophy, the weight lifted off Vincent Company and every Manchester City's player, or was it that moment, shooting from 25 yards out, knowing it was his last match at the Etihad, with his players and Aguero saying, "No, Vinny, no shoot," and did it make him go for it? Damn well, it made him go for it. But don't ask Vincent Company which is the main one and the most important one, because he's changed his mind twice in the last half an hour. First of all, of course, for him personally, with the injuries he'd had last year, for me, for him to come back and have end his season at Manchester City, end his career at Manchester City, scoring the goal of the season to win them the title again in the closest race, with the perseverance to keep at the top of your game. I think personally for him, you have to take the greatest pride in that. But, of course, without that goal in the Manchester derby in 2012, maybe last season just wouldn't have happened. It's an impossible choice to choose from, so maybe we should just take the pure beauty in them both. Vincent Company sees the beauty in adversity. I hope he will tell you all about his story shortly, and maybe that's why he could pull off that 25-yard strike when he hadn't had a shot on target from outside the area in 6 years previously. He said he didn't know that until afterwards, and he rather I didn't mention it. Sorry, Vincent. I've spoken to his teammates leading up to this special night, and they said so many things about Vincent that you already know, a great leader, but the one thing he always does every season, he has a plan. You know that plan. He gets his team together and he takes you through it every step of the way. I don't think anyone quite has given credit or thought too much about the day at the Etihad against Tottenham, where VAR on this one occasion in European ruling seemed to miss the handball from Soldado. Well, Vincent Company did say that the morning after, when he woke up, giving it 24 hours of thought, he dusted it off. He picked up his team and he gave them a new goal. We'll go for the unprecedented domestic treble. And they did it. Something that Sir Alex Ferguson said just simply wasn't possible or achievable. He also isn't that good at timekeeping. Well, his perfection is at keeping his fitness levels right, getting his team going really well. Timekeeping on the not so important occasions, not so good. So much so that the Belgian team, when he came in for the team meetings during the World Cup, would all pick up their napkins and wave them in the air as a kind of Mexican wave to welcome him in. But there would be a greatness to his lateness on one particular day. Not an important one. They were just about to face Brazil in the World Cup. Having taken some sleeping pills because of the light that came through the night into his windows, he missed the tactical team meeting. Just a company. He went and sat down with Thierry Henry, and they discussed something that Vincent had noticed, that the Brazilian coach had spent some days with Pep Guardiola, that by watching their matches, they'd been setting up to defend set pieces in the same way Manchester City do. But Vincent Company knew a fault in that system. And having mentioned that, they changed their whole plans after the tactical meeting. And sure enough, they scored from their set piece, with Vincent charging down the one channel he knew was vulnerable, and Fernandinho, his Manchester City teammate, scoring an own goal. He would lead his country to be the bronze generation, the greatest Belgian team in the history of their footballing nation. There are so many stories to tell you about Vincent Company, but I know why so many of you are here tonight. He has been an absolute servant for football writers, particularly in this country, and we miss you dearly. My personal experience, or a story to tell you, is when he knew he was in his last Premier League match, when they just won the title at the Amex, he had to fulfill all the Premier League title holders' requests. Now, everyone wanted to speak to Vincent Company, so all his teammates were celebrating, and he was making sure everyone was done. It wasn't my turn to interview Vincent on that day, so I just stayed back to congratulate him. We talked, and then he said, let's do the interview then. And I said, no, all the cameras are over there, Vinny. And he turned around and went, let's get a camera. Go and celebrate with your teammates on what was his last match in the Premier League. I know all the writers here have their own stories for Vinny. I know that many of the print boys who wait in the mix zone for him, despite being happily married men, have spent some time wondering what on earth he does in the shower for that long. What they do know is that while he doesn't have much hair, he might be using Elvive, because however long you wait, he's worth it. His teammates as well know the power of his words, and we have seen the power of his humanitarian work as well. I would align what Vincent Company did in his final years in Manchester under the most demanding manager currently in the game, I would warrant, as alongside the humanitarian effort of Didier Drogba, who called an end to civil war in the Ivory Coast. That saved countless lives. But I tell you, Vincent Company and Andy Burnham, who many of us respect from his time helping to deliver the London 2012 games, have been a magnificent exemplar to us all. But Vincent sought out Andy Burnham for all the work he was doing, and I am so proud of all you have done, and our nation should take note. If you talk to Vincent's teammates about the influence and the impression he has in a dressing room and his speeches, it is breathtaking. Some of his Belgian teammates refer to him as Obama. He can influence the world, he can change the world, and he'll make you believe you can take on the world. It is quite enough of me for tonight. It is time to hear now from a leader among men, Vincent Company.
This is funny because I dropped the lid of the first FA Cup on my head when I lifted it. And I don't know. First of all, thank you all for being here. I'm delighted to be back in England, first of all, and delighted to be amongst many faces I've known for many years. More certainly, people from Manchester City at this table. Grateful as well and happy to be able to share this moment with my dad, who's here at the forefront, and I will actually encourage you to give him a warm applause. Yeah, maybe he should do the speech. I'm more I'm more shy than he is, I think. And obviously, so grateful and thankful towards my family, my wife in particular, Carla, who couldn't be here tonight because of commitments for school tomorrow morning with the kids. No, we take it very seriously at home. And obviously my fantastic children, whom I'm actually most happy about that I could share these last moments in the Premier League. As you saw on the last day of that fantastic goal against Leicester. Yeah, they were there, so that was awesome for us. Obviously, really grateful for the FWA Football Writers Association for putting this night together. Thank you so much. I I love this environment because whilst everybody else worries about Iran and the Middle East and worries about the next tweet from Trump, we worry about VAR and tactical fouls. But it's okay. It's our community, and in fact, as a matter of fact, I've felt so passionate about football for so many years, as I know you do. And at the same time, when you mention the work we've done with the wonderful mayor and the Burnham of Greater Manchester, it comes together as well at many occasions with the FWA and members of the FWA who have been actually present. You mentioned the day where 2 days before the game against Brighton, the final game of the season, we were visiting a homeless shelter, but we weren't doing it on our own. We had members of the FWA with us. So as much as we've been sharing moments of hype and moments of drama to entertain the people that love the game so much, at the same time we've done good things together. I think I want to highlight this as well. So thank you to you all for this. So to talk about the role as well that we've been shared, despite us talking VAR and tactical fouls, we also have been sharing moments where we had opinions and had to voice opinions about issues of discrimination and racism, such as lately in the Premier League, but also most notably for me, in my mind, the game of England in Bulgaria. And I thought that the voices of the members of the FWA mattered. And at the same time, it just allows me, and then we'll go back to other stuff more light, but it brings me to another topic that's important to myself, is to always think if we can bring some level of checking of diversity when we approach the debate. It's so important to me. I really respect the fact that we have had so many valuable opinions on these matters and so much support, but I think it's also important to check whether every member, every person debating it within a boardroom, within a closed room of people, has actually the right level of diversity, whether it's gender or color, to actually make a right opinion or form a right opinion or make a right call on the issue. So the intention is appreciated, but I'd just like to mention this. Going to something much more light is, for me, the Premier League is the greatest league in the world. I've enjoyed every moment in the league. I don't think you realize how much this is a special place to be a part of. And I always heard, and it's the relationship, it's everything. It's the relationship between the media and the players, it's the commentating around the event, the building up of the event, and then, as we say, the hype and the drama, which is part of everything we do. We know we live by it. And I always heard my teammates say, well, the English press is too harsh on us. And I was like, well, it doesn't feel like it to me. It must be this thing where I think the Belgian press is too harsh on me. Christophe, this is the power. It's a joke. Don't make a headline out of it. Not a headline. and yeah, I mean, ultimately, simple words. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Goodbye.